Hello students. I hope you have gone through the yesterday's video introduction to JSP, in which I have covered the architecture of JSP. Then we have discussed about the JSP life cycle. To refresh it, let me put it again, because life cycle, JSP life cycle, again I'll be using in this today's class. So there are three methods of JSP lifecycle, like your servlets, but the methods are prefixed with JSP keyword. So the first method is JSP init, then JSP service, and the JSP destroy. JSP init method is called only in the first time when the servlet is loaded. And when I'm referring a servlet, it is servlet of the JSP page, converted servlet of the particular JSP page. The JSP service method will contain the body of the JSP method, the whole your code which you are supposed to be a part of your JSP page with respect to functionality of the JSP. All your code goes in JSP service method. JSP destroy is you can write your code or overwrite the code, which is you want to do the activities when the servlet is being freed from the memory. The server decides about it, as we know in case of servlet as well as in JSP. The server will decide when to release the memory for a particular servlet or a server. It may use its own algorithm, or when there is a necessity of the memory, free memory, when there are too many clients requests are still to be processed. So we have discussed about the life cycle of the JSP, and then some tags also I took it yesterday, the different kinds of JSP tags. But now onwards in the next all these classes, I will go one by one in detail with these JSP tags as per our syllabus. So there yesterday it was in that video just an introduction of all kinds of tags, and basically there are three kinds of JSP tags. The first is the scriptlets tag, second one is the action tags, and third is directive tags. So we will go in detail with every tag, how to use them with the Java beans, how to load a bean, the applet in a bean in a JSP. So we will go in detail with all the tags with an example code with the syntax in detail in the next all classes. So once we refresh in the video introduction to JSP, now let me go again in detail with overview of JSP, and as I said, today I'll be dealing with the basic tags, the scripting tags, but before that we use the predefined variables in with these basic tags. So I'll explore first the predefined variables after the overview of JSP, and then we will take up the scriptlet tag. So let us start. The JSP is the technology, so I am defining again a JSP in the context of the tags. Otherwise, how I said in the earlier video, we define it JSP as naturally again this is a Java code, these are the Java programs which run at the server, which are written to process the client request and which produces the response again to the client, sends the response to the client. In due course, it may require to process the request, it may require to access the database. So now when we go with respect to coding perspective, how do I define a JSP? We say JSP technology enables the user. Wherever I have put it U here, that is actually we are indicating naturally the users of the developers of the applications, the application programmers using JSP. So JSP enables the user to mix the static HTML with the dynamically generated content. So you simply write your static code using HTML in the normal manner. You can use the web page building tools. There are many tools which allow you to develop a web pages, ready-made tools, and which makes your job easy. So we can use the built-in tools, the available tools for the development of JSP, and then you can enclose your dynamic part wherever you have a processing part of your application. You are using your JSP tags. The JSP tags which start with angle bracket, percent sign, and they end with percent and angle bracket. Whereas our HTML tags are, you have only angle bracket and then you have the end of the angle bracket. So your JSP page consists of mix of HTML tags and JSP tags. So your HTML tags are with angle bracket, whereas your JSP tags are with angle bracket and percent. Now you can, when we compare with the servlet, how we can define the JSP? We can define a JSP as the HTML with the Java code inside. Whereas in servlets, how it was? Our Java code was with the HTML inside. So how we used to write in servlet is out.println, and then I put in bracket HTML tag. So it was like the HTML was inside in case of servlet. So it is Java with HTML is servlets, and the reverse is the HTML with Java code inside is the JSP. So I hope you got the difference. It is exactly the opposite. So servlets are the Java code with HTML inside, whereas the JSP can be thought as HTML with Java code inside. When we write a Java pages, the Java pages are translated into a servlets. The JSP runtime engine will do this, and the servlets only are compiled. And whenever the client request comes for a particular JSP page, the compiled servlet will get executed. So writing JSP is actually another way of writing servlets. Even though it is writing, alternative way for servlets, it's not just alternative way. The separating the static HTML content from the dynamic content has provided in JSP has provided number of benefits over the servlets alone. So now we are comparing now JSP with servlets. So even though it is a alternative, another way of writing servlets, it's not that you have whatever advantages with servlets only you get in JSP. JSP still provides many more advantages, the benefits over the servlets alone. You can find it in many literature. Comparison of JSP with PHP, comparison of JSP with even with .NET. So the comparison with many more other web application tools, and it can be easily found that the JSP has benefits over all other web application development technologies such as PHP, then .NET, etc. So when now at this point, when we are comparing the JSP with servlet, the JSP provides a number of benefits over the servlets. Now the need for the JSP, when already servlets was developed by the Sun Microsystem, as we know, for the web application development as our J2EE Enterprise Edition, then why there was a need for a technology such as JSP? When it is related to our servlets, actually using servlets, you find it already you have done some code in the lab. So there you could see that it's hard to write and maintain the HTML. So what we do there in servlets, we use a print statements to generate the HTML. So our HTML is within the Java code. So we need to follow a lot of syntax. We need to have a parenthesis, proper semicolons. We should have a backslashes embedded in double quotes. We should have a concatenation because our whole HTML code goes in out.println. So it's very hard to visualize and to write the servlets. So the developers were not comfortable because it was hard to write and maintain the HTML in servlets. When we used to use HTML inside the Java, the developers could not use the standard HTML tools which are available. The great website development tools were of little use or no use when you are writing the Java code and then you are embedding HTML within it. The third point is for the need for the JSP is the HTML is inaccessible to the non-Java developers. Because the HTML was embedded in the Java code, the client-side web developers who does not know the Java programming language had trouble in maintaining or reviewing or changing the HTML. So when we find out what is the need for the JSP, now we come up to the other side of that. Naturally, those are the benefits of JSP. Now, when I'm saying benefits here, I'm just comparing over the servlets alone. As I said, benefits of the JSP has the benefits with all other web application development tools. So now we are comparing only the benefits of JSP over the servlets alone. Now when we compare with servlets, now with using JSP, it is easier to write and maintain the HTML. So how do you write your static code? Naturally, you are using HTML as it is, regular way. So you are not embedding in a Java. So how you use it? HTML normally at the client for the client side code. You are using it in JSP pages as it is. The second point what we are saying in benefits is as we use the HTML in a regular manner, now you developers could use website development tools. And which is the famous tool? That is Macromedia Dreamweaver, which is for most of the JSP pages it is used. There are some even other HTML tools which does not know about JSP, but still they allow you to use, you can code the JSP pages with these tools. What happens here is they simply ignore the JSP tags. Now the third benefit of JSP is in case of actually a large projects and when we follow a MVC model, which is followed in the web application development. So what is the MVC stands for is, as you know, it is a model view controller. So you can separate the view part, that is the web developers. You can separate, in fact, you can do the separation of weaker and stronger between the teams. You can concentrate, you can make some people can concentrate on the presentation layer and some people can take care of your model part, which is the core of your application. And this is possible if you are using JSP. This was not possible in case of servlets. So this has made a lot of difference when the JSP was developed. So now we start with the types of the JSP scripting elements. Now you can see it here on the screen. Elements in bracket I have put it tags. So either we can call them as a scripting tags or we can call them as a scripting elements, or in some JSP books you can find them as a basic tags. So I am using three terms. What we are now, which we will see thorough in the next class, of course, because I'll be going with predefined variables first. But just I'm introducing here the types of JSP scripting tags. So which three terms I have used? Scripting tags I can call, or I can call scripting elements, or I can call them basic tags. So what are these basic tags, JSP basic tags? there are three basic tags. The first one is expressions, second one is scriptlets, third one is declarations. So let me repeat it: expressions, scriptlets, and declarations. Now expressions, what is the syntax? We use angle bracket percent and angle bracket for each of the JSP tags, right? So now expression is indicated with equal sign. So equal sign is indicating the expression tag. Whereas in scriptlet tag, if you observe it down, it is nothing. There is no special symbol, any other symbol. So just you have is mere angle bracket percent. Your Java code is embedded between this tag, and it ends with percent and angle bracket. Whereas in declaration, you can see the symbol exclamation mark. So your equal to symbol will indicate expression tag. Your exclamation mark will indicate declaration tag. Whereas in scriptlet, you do not have any symbol. Simply you use it with angle bracket percent, end it with, your Java code end with percent and angle bracket. So now expression tag, which is used whenever you use it, you put an expression tag naturally in the tag. The expression gets evaluated and it is inserted into the servlet output. So we can put, I will go in detail with the examples in the next class. We can write here an expression as simple as it can be a plus b, or it can be a call to the method. So we will explore these examples later. Whereas in case of the second tag, which is our scriptlets, all my Java code other than expression and the declaration, all I can put it in scriptlets tag. That is my Java code. So whatever I put using this tag, it gets inserted into, when my JSP is getting converted into servlet, it will be inserted into JSP service method, servlets JSP service method, right? So when my JSP is getting converted into servlet, we are discussing where my code gets placed into which method of the servlet. The declaration, as you can see here, I can either declare variables or I can even declare a method using this tag. So this tag, when you are using in your JSP page, and the servlet which is converted for your JSP page, the code will be inserted into the body of the servlet class, but not in any of the existing method, because you are declaring the variables or you are declaring the methods. So it is declared outside all your methods like JSP init, JSP service, or JSP destroy. So they appear in your servlet, but they do not appear, or they are not the part of your any method. So I hope you remember now the basic tags. First is expressions, second is scriptlets, third is declarations. Let me revise it. Expression tag, we use it to evaluate the expression. Scriptlet tag, we use it to put the Java code into my JSP page, other than naturally expression and declaration. Declaration tag I can use to declare the variables or the method.
Those
Next
are
class
not
I
very
will take
simple
many more
like a simple
examples in
code.
detail.
I'll be using
elements.
predefined variables which are
And
provided
when I'm
in
taking
JSP
the examples
in these basic tags. So let us find out what are predefined variables. Now if you see in the bracket, it is implicit objects. Now what is implicit objects? They are available to you implicitly. What do you mean by predefined variables? They are already predefined. You need not create them. So we use again the two terms here. We can call these as predefined variables, or we can call these as implicit objects. So you may have a question like what are predefined variables in JSP, or it can be as simple as what are implicit objects in JSP. So let us find out what are the implicit objects in JSP. The first is a request. As we have a web application, naturally we have a request and response, request from the client, response from the server. Now request is an implicit object which is available to you. I am calling it as an object now, because these all are objects. Now when I say object, naturally they are an object of particular class. So let us find out which class it is. So request is a class variable of or object of HTTP servlet request. It is naturally provided to process the request, client request. So it will allow you to access all the request parameters. Now when I say request parameters, as we discussed in servlet, there are two kinds of the request parameters, that is my implicit data and explicit data. So my implicit data is the client form parameters, my explicit data is HTTP information. I can get both kind of request data using this implicit object. I can know what is the request type, client has used what kind of request type to send the request, or I can get all the HTTP headers, as I said. And you know, the best example of explicit information is cookies. The second variable is response. Response is an implicit object of HTTP servlet response class. Now if you see it on the screen, I am mentioning the class, right? So there is a no space. Using Java naming convention, are you finding the class name? HTTP servlet response, H is capital, S is capital, R is capital. Now naturally the response is to the client from the server. So this object, we use it to set the status codes and the response headers in the JSP pages. So we know there are many status codes which we will find out in detail in one of the class, and we have the response headers like set the content type, the type of the output which the server is sending to the client. So these headers indicate some communication between the server and the browser. Now out variable is a object of the JSP writer, whereas in servlet we had a print writer class, but in JSP we get a buffered version of writer, and that class is JSP writer. So rather we can define it as out is an implicit object of print writer, not a print writer class, but it is a object of JSP writer class. So when you are using this variable, and most of the time it is used to send the output to the client, most of the time it is used exclusively in scriptlets. Scriptlets is our Java code. Wherever I am putting a Java code using the scriptlets tag, and the out, I am using the out implicit object. Naturally the expression to be placed in the output stream as output client. So the next variable, so we saw the three variables. Which were those implicit objects? First was request, second was response, third one was out. Now the fourth one is session. Now as you know, the session handling is an integral part of web applications. When a user logs in, the session starts, even though explicitly the session is not created in an application, and session is maintained for each user login. And we know HTTP is a stateless protocol, so the session, the communication that the particular user is navigating through all our JSP pages of our application, we need to maintain it. So that session handling can be done using many ways. The first one is using the session object. second one is cookies, third one is URL rewriting. So now here I am talking about one of the way of session handling, that is HTTP session object. So if you see here, session is my implicit object of which class? HTTP session class. So the sessions which are maintained for a particular user, I can get the details of that session using this object. The application is the object of servlet context. Now I am going to discuss the two classes, very important two classes, those are servlet context and servlet config. Now first one we are defining about servlet context. So application is a variable of, in other words it is an object of servlet context class. We can get this object using getServletContext method. What is the use of this particular object? Usually what we do, we store a data in our regular local variables in a particular JSP page, but however we can use the application object to store the persistent data which can be shared by all the servlets and the JSP pages in the web application. If you are storing your data using instance variables, then it is available only in that page. But suppose you require some data, some persistent, we call it as a persistent data because it is available in all the web pages and it is stored on the hard disk. So every page can access, or every servlet or every JSP page which is a part of your application, it is available to all the pages of your web application. So some data where you need to access it in all the pages can be stored using this application object. Now this servlet context class, now my application is the object of servlet context class. So my methods are available in this class. So which are the methods which I can use to access the data? The methods are set attribute and get attribute, and then I define my data with as a key and value. So I say name of the attribute, that becomes a key, and the value for that. For example, user is my key, value is XYZ. So now I am defining that using the set attribute in one of the JSP page using application object. Now all other pages can access it using get attribute method, this particular data. The next object is config object. As I said earlier, it is object of second important class, that is servlet config object. We use this object to read the initialization. Config indicates what? Configuration. So it is used to read the initialization parameters, and these parameters are read in a JSP init method because these are my initialization parameters. So I can use this object to set the initialization parameters and use them. Page context is another object. If you observe here, for the object my p is small, whereas for the class my p is capital. So my page context is an object of page context class. The names both are same, but the object I am indicating with small p, and my class with Java naming convention naturally goes as capital P. So the page context object can be used. What is the advantage of this? This object will give you a single point of access to your JSP page attributes. So using this object you can access all the page attributes of your JSP page attributes. The last predefined variable which we are going to discuss is page. Now this variable is useful if you are using the scripting language other than Java. So you can use even COBOL, you can use C. So there are many options available for the scripting language as a scripting language in JSP. So if you are using that, then this variable is useful. That's why this is not useful when we are using in JSP. But let us discuss it, how it is useful. It is actually, it resembles our this keyword. If you know, when we use it in programming languages, this keyword, what it indicates? The current object of that particular class. Similarly, now I am referring using page object as for the current web page when I am using some scripting language other than Java.